Thank you for joining us for FCPS All-Stars. We have with us today Janet Manning, Advanced Academic Specialist at Lincoln Elementary School. Welcome, Janet.
Well, thank you.
I'm so proud to have you here today, especially since you were one of the teachers of one of my children, who is now in college.
Studying to be an engineer.
As a result of
Yes.
your efforts.
Oh.
How awesome. But we're not going to talk about school. We're going to talk about other stuff.
Oh, okay, very good.
I want to ask you, because I know you've done so much in your life in terms of sports and that, I want to ask you, was there an event in your life that changed everything?
As a matter of fact, there was. I pinpoint it back to 5.5 years ago. I had a traumatic neck injury as a result of a ski accident. And after that, I found that it led me on a path to a very positive place. So I would say that that was the defining moment in my life.
Wow. Now, how did you overcome that injury, and what impact did it have on your life?
Well, as a result of the injury, backtrack. When I broke my neck, I was bedridden for about a month, and I didn't have a lot to do. And I noticed that the first responder who had rescued me off the mountain was training for an open water swimming event. It's a popular event in Maryland. It's called the Great Chesapeake Bay Swim, and it's 4.4 miles across the Chesapeake Bay. And I had been a former swimmer when I was in high school, all the way through college really, but never swam in the open water. And when you're in bed for that long a time, you start, I don't know, dreaming or becoming delusional, I don't know what you want to say. But I thought, well, if I ever get better, I'm going to swim across that bay. And that was a pretty lofty goal for me because I had never swum over, I'd never raced over 200 yards and probably never swam continuously over a mile. And so for me to think I could swim in cold, dirty water for 4.4 miles, that was kind of crazy. And I thought, I'm going to set that goal for by the time I was 50, and at the time I was 45. So it was a long-term goal. And one thing led to another, and within a year, I had accomplished that goal. And just fast forward to today, I'm now swimming much longer distances, and it's really changed my life in a very positive way.
Tell me about some of the places you've gone swimming. I've seen some interesting pictures of you in places that I don't believe were in the United States. Yeah,
I have gotten to travel a lot as a result of my hobby, and I would say things took a pretty big turn when I swam across Lake Tahoe, and that was in 2013, and it's a pretty long distance. It's 21.23 miles, and that was a very big swim for me. I swam it in a wetsuit. It took me over 14 hours, and that was life-changing.
What did your coach tell you?
I have this amazing coach who is just crazy, and he believed in me when I don't think I believed in myself, because before that swim, the longest distance I had ever swum was 10 miles. And as a matter of fact, in that race, I told myself I was quitting swimming after that race because it was not pleasant. And then somehow I hooked up with this coach from California, Jamie Patrick, and he said that he would train me to cross Lake Tahoe. And he said when I walked up on that shore, I would be a different person, and he was absolutely right. From that day on, I have just lived my life with no fear. I've realized that I was living a life that I had no idea what my potential was. So it was life-changing, really. Would you like to know some of my other exciting swims?
I would, because I know I saw one where you were in some water and it was kind of murky, but there was something old and familiar in the background. Can you tell me what country you were in for that
I
one?
was in England this past summer. That was another swim that kind of fell into my lap. It was unplanned. A lot of people in this sport have this great dream of crossing channels, and the English Channel, as you know, is just a well-known swimming goal for many people. And I don't know, just through online forums and the internet, I came across a group that was in need of a substitute swimmer. And it had not been my dream to cross the English Channel. It's quite cold, and I'm not traditionally someone who likes cold water. But it just sounded like an offer too good to pass up, and so I took up that team on their offer, and as a result, we made it across to France. I believe it was August 1st of this past year, and that was amazing.
What was the first thing you did when you got across the channel?
You don't want to know. I didn't actually walk on shore. One of my teammates did, and I probably fell asleep. It was in the middle of the night. It took us 12 hours to get across, and it's really rough seas over there. And I had to have a patch so that it would control the nausea and everything.
Now, I have to tell you, I cannot imagine doing anything for 12 or 14 hours, not even sleeping. So what goes through your mind when you're swimming for 12 and 14 hours straight?
That's an excellent question. It's a big part of my training is the mental aspect. And yes, you're right. It's a long time to be alone in your head with nothing. You're not allowed to have an MP3 player or anything like that. So I did some training sessions with a sports psychologist from California, and she gave me little tips of things to think about, little mind games. I go through the alphabet. I think about people that I know with, actually my students. I sing songs, just insane things. I solve all the problems of the world, and and that's what I do.
What lesson have you learned as a result of this misfortune that turned fortunate for you?
Well, I have this quote that I absolutely love by Lao Tzu, and it's, in every misfortune is fortune. And what I learned, my epiphany of this whole incident 5 years ago, is that I was living a life of untapped potential. I didn't know. I was completely happy. I was completely satisfied with my life. And after Lake Tahoe, that life-changing moment, I realized that I didn't know what I was capable of achieving. And that was huge for me. And now I don't say no. I scratch my head and say, wow, let me think about that when I set my next goal. But yeah, there's just so much out there. And as I'm 50 years old, I don't think I ever dreamed that I'd be setting goals like this at this age. So it's been kind of exciting for me.
It sounds exciting. And you've mentioned something about finding passion. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I found a passion that I didn't even know. I'd been a pool swimmer my whole life, from age 10 till college. I did a little bit of triathlons out of college in my early 20s. And then I kind of hung it up. You get tired swimming up and down the black line. And it was a chapter of my life that I was very proud of. It helped build a character, and it's wonderful, a wonderful sport, but I set it aside. But after that moment when I decided to become an open water swimmer, I just grew passionate about it. It brought me this sense of happiness that just makes me feel alive. And I think everyone really needs something like that in their life.
I agree, and I know that you are passionate at what you do in your job. I've seen you with the students and seen you with my own student. And I think it's so important for us to have a passion outside of work, because at school you're always pouring into other people. Mm-hmm. But what you do when you're in that open water, that's pouring into you, and that's lifting you and building you so you can continue to be great.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Please feel free to join us for our next episode, and don't forget, shine on.